Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Tenebris Integra. This watch is available from fairer.com for €1,695 on both the bracelet and the rubber strap. The price also includes complimentary engraving up to 25 characters. Fairer are a well-established microbrand. They were founded in 2015 in England and their watches are Swiss made. So firstly, let's look at the watch case that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a hard shell travel case, which is housed inside this outer blue cardboard sleeve. On the top of the sleeve we have the Fairer logo, so one removes the sleeve. Nylon, fabric, woven, hard shell travel case. Good attention to detail because we have the Fairer emblem embossed on the top, and also good attention to detail because on the brass zip pull we also have the Fairer logo, which is embossed. Flawless stitching around the perimeter, no loose stitches, excellent quality finishing to the woven nylon fabric, very aesthetically pleasing. And immediately one gets the impression that the Fairer Tenebris Integra is a high quality Swiss made piece. So I'll show you the interior. The interior is fully upholstered with blue velour fabric to good standard, and in the underside of the lid we have a pocket which houses the item which I'll show you, and in the base we have two fabric straps, and they're secured by brass poppers which do a good job of securing the watch in shipping from moving around and protects it from being damaged. So excellent quality hard shell travel case, and Fairer deserve credit here because they could have taken the less expensive default option of a plastic or cardboard watch box, but this nylon fabric hard shell travel case is better quality. Now, as I've detailed, the watch comes with both a rubber strap and also bracelet included for €1,695, and the watch comes fitted with the integrated rubber strap, and they also supply the bracelet inside this cardboard box. So one withdraws the drawer from the sleeve, and inside they have a leaflet which effectively is an owner's instruction manual leaflet specifically just for the integrated bracelet. So it details the fitting and sizing of it and also the operation of the micro adjustment clasp. Now, I deliberately have not read this, so why is that? Well, I wanted to see how intuitive the micro adjustment clasp is, and I'm pleased to report it is intuitive without needing to read the manual for it, so that's very good. So one only gets one item with a piece, which is this fold out leaflet. This serves two purposes. It's effectively the owner's instruction manual and also the warranty card. So clear concise diagrams, the instructions are in English, and it details the operation of the movement used, which is the Sellita Caliber SW300-1 top grade automatic. Also details how to exchange the integrated bracelet for the integrated strap included, and on the reverse it details the terms and conditions of the 5-year international warranty. I want to give due credit to Fairer here because this is a mid-tier piece, and to clarify and remind you, mid-tier is €500 to €5,000 price point. This is €1,695 respectively, so well within the mid-tier. Mid-tier pieces are usually covered by the industry standard mandatory 2-year international warranty, but Fairer go above that. This has 5 years of international warranty. 5 years of international warranty is generally seen with higher tier pieces at the €10,000+ price point, such as Rolex. Very unusual to see a microbrand producing Swiss-made pieces at the €1,695 price point in the mid-tier, offering 5 years of international warranty as per a high-tier piece. That adds value to the piece, and Fairer deserve full credit for that. So, lastly, one also gets this FKM floor rubber strap as an alternative to the integrated bracelet, which I fitted to the head of the piece. Navy blue tone to it, and it's got a textured finish on the top side and the underside. Plenty of holes in it, so this will fit from a 6 to 7.5 inch wrist size. It's very soft and supple and surprisingly flexible for an FKM floor rubber strap. So to put this into perspective, FKM floor rubber is a compromise in terms of strap spectrum. At the top end of the spectrum we have natural rubber and NBR. NBR stands for nitrile butadiene rubber. NBR, nitrile butadiene rubber, is often used in the aeronautical and automotive industries because it is ultraviolet light, chemical and acid resistant. Then below that we have FKM floor rubber, and then below that we have silicone rubber at the other end of the spectrum. Silicone rubber is more soft and supple, that's the benefit. The negative is it is not as durable and robust. FKM floor rubber is harder than silicone rubber, therefore it's not as soft and supple, that's the negative. Positive is it is more durable and robust. So really FKM floor rubber is a compromise between NBR, nitrile butadiene rubber, and silicone rubber at each end of the spectrum, and it is the perfect compromise because it's robust, it's durable, but also soft and supple. So very flexible, doesn't require any breaking in. What I like about it is it's got grooves on the flanks and it's tapered. It's thicker at the spring bar end where it needs to be more reinforced and robust, and then it tapers down in thickness down to the buckle and tang end, where it needs to be more flexible. Also, it's got grooves which are moulded into the top side, and that makes it more flexible and more supple, which is good. This enhances comfort level and feel good factor, and the textured side on the underside, the moulding, this allows for sweat and perspiration to wick away from the wrist, so it will dry out quickly, and also enhances comfort level. It feels very smooth, feels very comfortable, and good attention to detail, because on the underside it is moulded with a deep bossed fairer universal, so excellent. Also correct decision, because they've used quick release stainless steel spring bars versus standard stainless steel spring bars. That makes exchanging the integrated strap for the integrated bracelet easy. Let's look at the buckle and tang side. Solid 316L grade stainless steel buckle, good heavy gauge to it, and it is embossed with a fairer emblem which is mirror polished. Flawless brushed satin finishing has a beautiful lustre to it, so good proportions to the buckle and tang, nice heavy gauge, it's going to be durable and robust. No sharp edges to the undercuts to the flanks, the undercuts has nice curvature to it, no sharp edges, and it's been beveled and chamfered very well. Excellent quality finishing. Two keepers. Now, what I like about it is, I've referred to this in my previous reviews, I like this design. The first keeper is fixed, but it's fixed between two teeth on the left and the right hand flanks. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus. So we have a pair of teeth on the left and the right hand flank, and the first keeper engages in between the pairs of teeth. So this is good. It's particularly beneficial if you have a smaller wrist size and you need to move the first keeper out of position for a strap which is longer, and this is excellent because you can adjust it very easily and it does engage very securely. Second keeper slides up and down freely as one would expect, and again the underside is moulded with a 3D texture to it, and it says genuine rubber. So we've also got fairer universal which is moulded in, and it's excellent quality moulding, no sharp edges to the flanks, and again surprisingly soft and supple for an FKM floor rubber strap. One would expect this to be stiffer, but it's very soft and supple. It's not going to require any breaking in. This is a good quality alternative integrated rubber strap to the integrated bracelet which I've fitted to the head of the piece, and it looks very aesthetically pleasing because the blue tone of the strap matches the blue tone of the dial. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 38.5mm case diameter, we have a lug-to-lug measurement of 42mm, a thickness of 10.7mm, and an integrated bracelet internal lug width of 22mm. The integrated bracelet is flared and tapers wider than the 22mm lug width. It's 24mm at its widest point at the head of the piece, tapering down to 16mm at the 2-button push butterfly clasp. Now, the butterfly clasp has micro adjustments, and as I've detailed, I did not read the instructions for this deliberately because I wanted to see how intuitive the 2-button push micro adjustment clasp is. You'll know this from my previous reviews. I'm often critical of brands not having a half link on the 6 and a half link on the 12 o'clock side of butterfly clasp. It's always the problem with regards to fit. It's difficult to get the correct fit with an integrated bracelet with a butterfly clasp with the absence of micro adjustment and often the absence of half links, because sometimes adding or subtracting one full link from an integrated bracelet doesn't give the desired fit. The bracelet feels slightly too tight or slightly too loose. The other problem is when the wrist expands in warmer weather or when one is active, and of course then the bracelet becomes too tight, and of course there's no on the fly adjustment. Fairer have addressed this problem, and I can tell you this is some of the best engineering I've seen with regards to a butterfly clasp. This is the first time I've seen a butterfly clasp with on-the-fly adjustment. So this butterfly clasp has 6mm of on-the-fly adjustment, 3mm on the 6 o'clock side, 3mm on the 12 o'clock side, added together is 6. And it's very intuitive, very easy to operate. As you can see, this rectangular panel on the end of it, you simply press it down with your thumb and that deploys it by 3mm. Same again on the right hand portion, you press down the rectangular portion with your thumb and it deploys freely. So 3mm of deployment and 3mm of deployment on the left hand side, as you can see, added together we now have 6mm of micro adjustment. Excellent. And very easy to close it back up. You simply push it back together like so, push it back together like so, and it clicks back together. So this is fantastic engineering. To put this into perspective, we're not looking at low tier or mid tier engineering here. This is high tier level. This is the kind of micro adjustment butterfly clasp one would expect to see on a high tier piece costing €10,000+. One has to remember, this is a mid tier piece, and yes, it is Swiss made, but it's not €10,000+. This is €1,695. This is stellar. So deploys freely. Both the 2-button push triggers release the left and the right hand portions. It's heavily sprung loaded, so it feels reliable and robust. Solid mill 316L grade stainless steel internals to the butterfly clasp. Flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks. But what I like about it above all else is the engineering. You simply press down with your thumb to get it to extend. And you simply press down with your thumb to get it to extend. And to close it back up again, you simply push it back together. It clicks together with a nice positive click, nice loud audible click on both the left and the right hand portions. Now, to clarify, when it is closed, it doesn't pull apart. There's no risk of it accidentally deploying. So it's not going to extend with the on-the-fly adjustment by 3mm on the left and 3mm on the right accidentally if your wrist swells up. You have to manually deploy it with or articulate it with your thumbs or manipulate it. It's very secure. Once it's clicked together, there's absolutely no risk of it coming undone, and there's no risk of it accidentally deploying with the micro adjustment. You have to release it with the 2-button push triggers. Press down your thumb to get it to deploy. Press down your thumb to get it to deploy. This is just fantastic. It's simple, but it works. And I really like the action of it, the execution. Good, solid action to it, both when you deploy it and also click it back in on the left and the right-hand side. The engineering that's gone into this is fantastic. And this is the first time I've seen a micro-adjustment clasp on a butterfly clasp. This is high-tier level, make no mistake about it. The clasp is signed with a fairer emblem and also fairer logo with high definition engraving, beautiful luster to it, and the edges are beveled on the top edge and the lower edge of the flanks. So looks aesthetically pleasing, but finishing is stellar, beautiful luster to it. We have a double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the brushed satin finish baton handset and the applied Arabic numerals and also applied baton indices. Fantastic dial execution, nice 3D effect to it. So to clarify, the centre section, the centre circle or disc is blue sunray, and we have an applied 3D effect, fairer emblem, and also the white text, fairer logo and universal. Now, what I like about the dial is it's 3D. It's not just flat, it's not smooth. We have two different types of finish. Centre section is smooth. It's got a sunray blue disc or circle, and then outside it, around the circumference, we've got a matte textured finish which has grooves which are engraved into it horizontally. This adds interest to the piece, makes it look very aesthetically pleasing. The large applied Arabic numerals and the large applied baton indices are clearly legible. Legibility of this piece is fantastic and it has good symmetry. Now, strictly speaking, it's an asymmetrical dial versus symmetrical because we do have the date complication at 3. But with regards to symmetry, I'm referring to the symmetry of the Arabic numerals. 12 balances 6, and then we have the 10 balancing 2 and the 8 balancing 4. So it's a very well balanced symmetrical dial layout. Beveled chaptering, which has engraved grooves to the minute ticks, and also we have Arabic numerals for 60, 05, 10, 15, 20 and so on. Also, what I like about it is the red accents, because next to each of the Arabic numerals and indices we have red squares or red markers for the hours, and this does add interest to the piece. Rather than it just being monochrome, for example all blue with just white text, we have some red accents with these squares next to the indices and the Arabic numerals. This style execution is very aesthetically pleasing. What I like about it is the tip of the second hand is silver and it's mirror polished, and this improves legibility because, needless to say, had they used just the blue second hand, of course it wouldn't contrast very well with the blue dial, but the tip of it is silver and it does actually reflect, and therefore the legibility is enhanced. Proportion of the hands is correct. The hour hand and the minute hand are different lengths and significantly different, so one can easily differentiate between the hour and minute hand, although they are similar baton style. And what I like about it is the proportions. The length of the minute hand extends all the way to the chaptering, as it should do. The length of the hour hand extends all the way to the applied Arabic numerals and the applied indices. Legibility is fantastic. Quality of the printing is stellar. So to put this into perspective, we're not looking at mid-tier dial execution here. Quality of the printing is high-tier level. Fairer, the text logo is printed with high definition crisp font. It's sharp, it's crisp, it's high definition, it's not too thick, it's not too blurry. Again, the font for Universal at the 6 o'clock position is crisp, it's sharp, and it's high definition. Either side of the 6 o'clock red marker, beneath the 6 o'clock Arabic numeral, we have Swiss made, because as I've detailed, Fairer are a British microbrand founded in 2015, but their watches are Swiss made. Excellent to see that on the dial. Very aesthetically pleasing. What I like about it is the low profile of the double dome sapphire crystal. It's a very low profile dome. The benefit of that is it doesn't add significant thickness. And what I'm pleased to see, they have resisted the temptation to add a boxed top hat double dome sapphire crystal to give the piece a vintage aesthetic. The double dome sapphire crystal gives it a contemporary aesthetic rather than vintage, but the other benefit is it reduces the thickness of this piece down to only 10.7. So although this has a double dome sapphire crystal versus flat, and also an exhibition case back, which of course does add thickness, it's still only 10.7. That's the kind of thickness one would expect with a quartz powered piece or a mechanical manual wind piece without a rotor. This is an automatic with a rotor, and it is 100 meters. So of course it needs a thicker sapphire crystal in the front, thicker sapphire crystal in the exhibition case back, but it's still only 10.7 millimeters. Fantastic. So very aesthetically pleasing low dome to it. What I like about it has a beveled edge. Now to clarify and remind you, I've referred to this in my previous reviews, but I'll reiterate it for the benefit of those of you that have not heard it. There are two types of edges used on sapphire crystals. Flat sapphire crystals and also double dome sapphire crystals have a beveled edge, which is flat. Box top hat double dome sapphire crystals have a fillet edge which is curved. They've made the correct decision here by using a beveled edge which is flat on the double dome sapphire crystal because it just projects above the top of the hexagonal bezel and catches the light. When you tilt the piece at an oblique angle, you can see the beveled edge of the double dome sapphire crystal catches the light. Absolutely gorgeous. The profiling of this double dome sapphire crystal matches the profiling on the curvature of the top of the hexagonal bezel. It's just fantastic. Absolutely gorgeous. So, fantastic looking dial. Legibility is good. Clarity is good. Date complication is easy to read because the white Arabic numerals contrast very well with the navy blue date wheel. So, with regards to the case and the bezel, bezel is solid 316L grade stainless steel. Beautiful luster to the brushed satin finishing, and it has nice beveled edges to it. Low profile, curvature matches the double dome sapphire crystal as I've detailed. What I like about it is the bezel is very low profile. The mirror polishing on the edges of it is done to high tier level. This bezel, make no mistake, we're not looking at mid-tier 500 to 5,000 euro brushed satin finishing and mid-tier mirror polishing. This is high-tier level brushed satin finishing, high-tier level mirror polishing, 10,000 plus euro case and bezel finishing throughout. The case is integrated, so tonneau case shape, and also is curved, rather like the hexagonal shaped bezel. Integrated lugs have angular brutalist profiles, large mirror polished bevels to the tips of the integrated lugs, beautiful luster to the flanks. Now again, I want to remind you, just look at the luster to the brushed satin finishing. This is a nice fine grained satin finish. Often mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands are not able to attain this Rolex level brushed satin finishing. Visually, this looks like Rolex level brushed satin finishing in terms of how fine grained the satin finishing is. The luster to it on the left and the right hand flanks of the case is 10,000 plus euro level finishing. It's stellar. This does not say to me mid-tier 1,695 euro case finishing. This says to me high tier 10,000 plus euro. It's stellar. Large mirror polished undercuts to the flanks. Large mirror polished bevel deletes the sharp edge on the transition but also enhances comfort level and feel good factor. What I like about the case profiling is the flanks are not tall, they're not thick, they're not slab-sided as per Tudor Black Bay Heritage, for example. They're thin. This reduces the visual impact but also enhances comfort level and feel good factor because deleting the meat from the case reduces the heft of this piece on the integrated bracelet to 136 grams. So to clarify, on the integrated rubber strap fitted to the head of the piece, the heft is 91 grams, which is excellent. On the integrated bracelet with all the links in it, the heft is 136 grams, which again is excellent for a 38.5mm piece. So 91 grams for the strap enhances comfort level because it's not too heavy. 136 grams on the bracelet enhances comfort level because it's not too heavy. That's the point. So case is finished to perfection. Let's look at the integrated bracelet in detail. So integrated bracelet has a nice aggressive taper. This is what I like about it. It's a 38.5. Often mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands make the mistake with integrated bracelet pieces is the taper is not aggressive enough. So it's too straight, it's too parallel, and that adds too much meat to the bracelet. Therefore the piece does not feel balanced between the head of the piece, the bracelet and the clasp. Fairer have got it perfected because we have a 22mm internal lug width, which is correct for a 38.5 head of the piece, but externally we have a flared integrated bracelet which is wider than the 22mm lug width. So the aggressive taper is from 24 at its widest point down to 16. This is excellent. This looks visually better than a 24 to 18 taper or a 22 to 16 taper, for example. They've got it correct. 24 is wide at the head of the piece where it needs to be wide to blend in, and then it tapers down aggressively down to 20. And the benefits of that is when one gets down to the 2-button push butterfly micro adjustment clasp, it's very thin, it's very slender. This enhances comfort level, this enhances feel good factor. So not only does it look good, but it also feels good. Let's check the articulation. So integrated end links, 22mm, and we've got quick release stainless steel spring bars, which are the correct choice. Articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, that's the benefit. Doesn't have excess longitudinal, lateral, side to side, up and down play. This is fantastic. This is one of the best executed integrated bracelet end links I've experienced, regardless of price point, low tier, mid tier, high tier. The refinement is there. If I had to choose one word to describe it, it would be refinement. They've got a perfect interference friction fit because it articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, but doesn't have excess play. It's not sloppy, it doesn't rattle. This is perfection personified. Fantastic. Let's check the articulation of the bracelet itself. Flows nicely. This is a fluid integrated bracelet. I'm just going to open up the butterfly clasp to check it fully. Stellar. What I like about this is how smooth it is. Now, it doesn't rattle, that's the point. It doesn't have excess longitudinal, lateral, side, side, up and down play, yet it articulates freely. The refinement of this bracelet says to me high tier level. Again, to remind you, I keep repeating it, but I want to reiterate it. This does not say to me mid tier, 500 to 5,000 euro, build quality, quality control, materials, finishing. This says to me high tier, 10,000 plus euro level. It's stellar. It's just silky smooth. The way it articulates, it's fluid, and yet it doesn't rattle. That's the benefit of them using screw pins, and I'm pleased to see they didn't use the production cost cutting measure of using push pins, either split pins or pins and collars. These screw pins tighten up the tolerances, and of course one can see the benefit because we've got this lovely fluid action to it, which is silky smooth, but it doesn't rattle, it's not sloppy. This is one of the best integrated bracelets I've experienced, and to put it into perspective, it's as good as the Obelisk Link bracelet, which is an integrated bracelet on my Concorde 40, and one has to be mindful, this is a more expensive French-made piece. This is €4,000, and of course this is fantastic. But this is much less expensive. We're not looking at a €4,000 piece here. This is Swiss made. It's €1,695. Less than half the price of it. But the point is the refinement is the same. This is stellar. Let's check the other side for continuity. End link articulates freely. Doesn't feel stiff or kink. That's the benefit. Again, it's refined. Doesn't have excess longitudinal, lateral, side, side, up and down play. Interference, friction, fit. This is stellar. Fantastic. I like the articulation and I also like the lack of play. Again, fluid. Flows nicely. Doesn't feel stiff or kink. Articulates freely. And what I like is the attention to detail, because often with integrated bracelets they simply have squared off profiles to each of the links, but what they've done here is they've added curves. And this is beneficial. Each of the links has a curve, so we have a male curve and a female curve, and they mate together. And the benefits of having the curves on each of the edges of each of the links rather than squared off profiling is we don't have a straight gap, which makes the bracelet sloppy. And you can see when you flex the bracelet, that gives it its nice fluid action, the curvature of it. Because these two curves, the male curve and the female curve mating together, they actually provide very smooth action. And this is fantastic detail. You can see the curves there in the flanks. Male curve mating with a female curve. And the benefit is each of the links fit together very smoothly. One doesn't get this large gap in between each of the links. The links are very close with minimal gap. So visually it looks good, but also feels good because The curves actually flow nicely rather than just having squared off gaps, which of course provide friction and are sloppy. This is fantastic engineering to this bracelet. I'm very impressed with it. In terms of finishing, again, this is high tier level. This is not mid-tier 500 to 5,000 euro brushed satin finishing. This is not mid-tier mirror polishing to the centres of the links. Large mirror polished bevels to the flanks of the bracelet on the top edge and the lower edge. This is beneficial. Visually looks very aesthetically pleasing, but it's beneficial because it deletes the sharp edge on the top edge and the lower edge of the flanks. Therefore, this bracelet doesn't scratch the wrist. It's not abrasive, it's not sharp. Comfort level and feel good factor have been maximised. Also, doesn't pull arm hairs. It's a very comfortable bracelet. Beautiful luster to it. Rolex level, high tier level, 10,000 plus euro level, and the mirror polishing is stellar. This bracelet is as good in terms of finishing as the Obelisk Link bracelet. In terms of mirror polishing and brushed satin finishing, the Obelisk Link bracelet on my Pequenet Concorde 40. And to remind you, 4,000 euro, this is 1,695 euro. It's equal quality. That's the truth of it. Fantastic bracelet, very impressive. And the truth is, this micro adjustment butterfly clasp with the 6mm on the fly adjustment, this is superior to this clasp which does not have it, and this is 4,000 euro. Stellar. Right, so let's test the screw down crown execution. Knurled screw down crown. The cap is made from bronze, and as you can see, it is embossed on the bronze cap with the fairer emblem to a high standard. This is good attention to detail. They could have just used a stainless steel crown, but they haven't. They've capped it with bronze to add interest to it, and of course this gives it a high tier level finish. Knurled finishing is fantastic. So the knurled finishing has large chamfer on the tips of the knurled teeth, and this deletes the sharp edge. It's large, so therefore it's grippy and tactile, and the benefit is one can easily get good purchase with one's index finger and thumb. Screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, so let's test the execution. Silky smooth. This is sublime screw down crown execution. It's stellar. To put this into perspective, this is as smooth as the Rolex triplock crown used on my Rolex Starbucks Submariner dates. Alternatively, it's as smooth as a Rolex twin lock crown used on the Rolex Datejust 41, for example. That's how silky smooth it is. This is Rolex level build quality, quality control, materials, finishing, tolerances, refinements. If I had to choose one word to describe it, it would be refinements. Silky smooth. Fairer could not improve upon this. It's fantastic. So, minimal number of turns required to fully unscrew it. There's a perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. Screw down crown at 100 meters is strong specification for a daily wear piece or potentially dress piece. Strictly speaking, they could have just used a 50-meter crown and also push-pull, because this is not a dive piece. It doesn't need 100 meters, but this is strong specification. Excellent. When it's fully unscrewed, we're now in the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the Sellita caliber SW300-1 top grade to its maximum 56-hour power reserve. Now I want to clarify something. Early versions of the SW300-1 up until 2020 had a 42-hour power reserve. From 2021 onwards, Sellita increased the power reserve of the SW300-1 from 42 hours to 56 hours respectively. This is the later version, the upgraded version of the SW300-1 top grade, therefore it has 56 hours. So how many clockwise turns does it take to fully manually wind it? Well, I'm pleased to report it doesn't take 56 clockwise turns, despite having the 56 hours versus the 42 hours of its predecessor. 40 clockwise turns will suffice. So when the mainspring is fully unwound and the movement is exhausted and is static, one can clockwise turn the crown 40 turns, and that will fully manually wind it to its 56 hours. So it doesn't take an excessive number of manual wind turns. That's the point I'm making, to manually wind it. So it feels smooth. Now in terms of smoothness, I want to clarify something. The SW300-1 is a level above the SW200-1 in terms of build quality, quality control, materials, finishing, and of course smoothness and refinement. This feels silky smooth to manually wind. It feels as smooth as manually winding the Rolex caliber 3235 chronology movement used in my Submariner dates. That's how smooth it is. This is Rolex level smoothness. It's a level above the SW200-1, a level above the P024, a level above the ETA 2824-2 in terms of refinement. The SW300-1 is a clone of the ETA 2892-A2. And there's no discernible difference between the ETA 2892-A2 and this SW300-1 in terms of refinement, how smooth they feel. Silky smooth. It's very pleasant to manually wind. Pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication. So rotating the L crown anti-clockwise advances the quick set date complication. Now, it is a deep, thick textured dial. One would expect a deep, thick textured dial like this with a date window to cast a permanent shadow on the navy blue date wheel with the white Arabic numerals, but it doesn't. And this is a pleasant surprise because the legibility of the single and the double Arabic numerals, despite having a thick textured dial, is actually surprisingly good. So both the single and the double Arabic numerals are printed with high definition printing. They're sharp, they're crisp, the legibility is stellar. The font isn't too thick and blurry, and what I like is the alignment of both the single and the double Arabic numerals is correct. It's not too far to the left or the right, and it's not too high or too low in the date window. Legibility is good. It's good that they've colour-coded the date wheel to match the dial versus using the default option of a white date wheel with black Arabic numerals, which would clash. This date wheel blends into the dial very well, but the white Arabic numerals contrast very well. So legibility is good, but the design aesthetic is also good. Pulling it out to second click position hacks the movement, and if you look at the silver tip to the second hand, you can see it's now stopped dead, so therefore it's possible to set the time precisely to the second with a Sellita caliber SW300-1 top grade. So we're now in the time setting position. Feels very smooth. This is definitely a level above the SW200-1 in terms of refinement. The smoothness is fantastic. It's as smooth as the Rolex caliber 3235 chronology movement used in my Starbucks, as I've detailed. That's the level of refinement. The SW300-1 really is the very best of Sellita. It's top grade. This is just so smooth. It's so pleasant to use. It just feels so much smoother than an SW200-1, an ETA 284-2 or a P024 to put it into perspective. It's far smoother than a 9015 or 9039, which are premium 9000 grade Miyota calibers, and they are my personal favourites. And they are smooth. They are smoother than a PT5000 or an NH358 to put them into perspective. But this SW300-1 is one of my personal favourite calibers due to the refinement. One can feel the meshing of the gearing is precise, and the backplay is minimal. And what I like about it is it has less backplay than other automatics, less backplay than an SW200-1. It's a level above that. They've minimalised the backplay. So when one rotates the Noel crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, one doesn't need to take up a lot of slack. The baton minute hand responds almost immediately with minimal backplay. More refined than a 9015, more refined than an SW200-1 to put it into perspective. Very good. Just a pleasant movement to manually wind, pleasant movement to set the date, pleasant movement to set the time. Feels the same clockwise and anti-clockwise, doesn't get heavier or looser, and also doesn't get tighter or heavier. It feels very smooth, and one can feel the meshing of the gearing is precise. Very pleasant movement. I absolutely love the SW300-1. And of course it's a clone of the ETA 2892-A2, which I also love. The architecture is identical, has the same 25 joules. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the caliber. You can see the silver tip second hand begins to sweep around at the characteristic smooth 4Hz sweep. You'll know this in my previous reviews. I like 4Hz sweeps because they have a nice smooth sweep running at 28,800 vibrations per hour versus the stutter or judder of a 3Hz sweep running at 21,600 vibrations per hour respectively. So let's test screwing the crown back down. Silky smooth. Instant thread pickup. There's a perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. The refinement of this screw down crown is stellar. Make no mistake about it. This is not low tier or mid tier crown execution. This is high tier. I regard this as 10,000 plus euro high tier level screw down crown execution. It is as good as the Rolex trip lock crown, as good as the Rolex twin lock crown in terms of smoothness and in terms of pickups of the threads. The internal thread of the stainless steel crown picks up instantly with the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. The threads mate, they pick up instantly, and it doesn't have excess friction. It feels perfectly smooth. The tolerances are machined to perfection. This is stellar. Fairer could not improve upon this. It's one of the best mid-tier screw down crowns I've experienced. It's as good as a Tudor Black Bay, to put it into perspective. It's as good as an Omega Seamaster crown. It's as good as a Rolex trip lock crown. That's how smooth it is. Fantastic. Let's look at the case back in detail. Screw down exhibition case back glazed with sapphire crystal, which does a good job of displaying the calibre. So as I've detailed, this is powered by the SW300-1 top grade. Top grade is decorated with pelage finishing. Now, credit where credit's due. This does a good job of displaying the calibre and also the rotor. Now, the rotor is unusual because usually rotors are semicircular, which we're all familiar with, but Fairer deserve credit because they've come up with their own rotor design. This is actually circular rather than being semicircular. And as you can see, it is vapour coated blue. The vapour coating in blue has a metallic sheen to it, so it looks rather like anodising, and it's got skeletonization, so it's cutouts, and it's also signed with Fairer and the emblem. And it's an interesting design because they've got a counterbalance weight incorporated into it beneath the Fairer emblem, but it actually looks like a complete circle. And works very well, works as good as a semicircular rotor. They deserve credit here because they could have taken the less expensive option of just using the standard Solita SW300-1 rotor and signed it with Fairer, for example, with laser etching or engraving. But they took the more expensive option, which increased production cost per piece and therefore diminished profit margin per piece, because they've come up with their own rotor design and they've also decorated it with a vapour coating in blue and also signed it. So this adds interest to the piece, and I would have been magnanimous had they just used the standard Solita SW300-1 top grade rotor, which in itself is decorated with Coats de Genève. It is a good looking rotor. So they didn't really need to do this. But they've done this to add a high quality feel to the piece, like a high tier level piece at €10,000+ level. Fantastic to see this. One doesn't see microbands come up with an original rotor design like this, vapour coated, skeletonized and signed at the €1,695 price point. This is stellar. And it does a good job of displaying the pelage finishing on the top grade SW300-1. What I like about it is the sapphire crystal glazing is perfectly flat and smooth. This is not a deep bubble back case back. Now one has to appreciate this is an automatic. Now the benefit of using the SW300-1 versus the less expensive option, the SW200-1, is that the SW300-1 is 1mm thinner. It's a thinner calibre, and 1mm is significant because using a 1mm thinner calibre means Fairer have been able to reduce this piece down to only 10.7mm. If they use the SW200-1, the less expensive alternative, this would be 11.7. It would not be 10.7. So they've been able to reduce this by 1mm simply by using a higher grade calibre. Even with a double dome sapphire crystal, which adds thickness, even with an exhibition case back, which adds thickness, this is still only 10.7. It is stellar. And that's really thanks to the SW300-1 being 1mm thinner than the SW200-1. Stainless steel portion of it is screwed down. Now, to clarify the difference, screwed down versus screw down. Dive watches use a screw down case back, which has an external thread cut into the case back, which mates or interfaces with the internal thread in the case. They've made the correct decision here by using a screwed down case back with 4 flathead screws, which are mirror polished, because this means they can use a thinner stainless steel portion. If this had a screw down case back as per a dive piece, they would need to make the stainless steel portion thicker to allow for the depth of thread to be cut into it externally and then mate with the internal thread in the case. This is better to have 4 flathead screws in the corners because it means the case back can be made thinner. And as you can see, the benefit, when I tilt the piece at an oblique angle, it's a flat case back. Even though this is an automatic, it's not a mechanical manual wind without a rotor, but it's a very flat case back. This is the kind of flat case back one would expect with a quartz pad piece or a mechanical manual wind pad piece. One has to appreciate this is 100 metres of hermetic seal. It's not a 50 metre case back. Sapphire crystal is thick enough to withstand 100 metres of pressure, but it's far thinner than the bubble back case back they would have had to use if they made it a screw down case back. So this is better. The refinement is there. Quality of the mirror polishing is fantastic, and it has a matte bead blasted background beneath the mirror polished embossing of the specification, reference number and serial number of the piece. Now to remind you, the €1,695 also includes complimentary engraving, so you can have up to 25 characters engraved into this piece complimentary. They don't charge extra for that, and that adds value to the piece again, but that's excellent. But the quality of the embossing on the case back is fantastic, and I think they've done a very good job of it, and it enhances comfort level and feel good factor. No sharp edges to it, nice chamfer on it, mirror polishing is stellar. This again says to me high tier level. Integrated end links are a good tight fit to the head of the tonneau case, and what I like is, again, quick release stainless steel spring bars, same as the FKM floor rubber strap. They haven't used standard stainless steel spring bars, therefore that negates the need for a spring bar tool in the absence of pierced lugs with holes in the flanks. This is beneficial, and I've actually tried this out. I've exchanged the rubber strap for the bracelet, and I can tell you removing and refitting the rubber strap is easy with the quick release stainless steel spring bars. Removing and refitting the integrated bracelet is also easy. One doesn't need a spring bar tool, and it fits very well, both the bracelet and the strap, so easy to change between the two. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now just bear with me, I'm going to remove my Concord 40. Now, this bracelet is tight on my 8-inch wrist, so I can fit it across my hand, but it's a tight fit, so I'm going to deploy it with these 6mm of on the fly adjustment, and as you can see, I can now easily get it across my hand, and I can just do it up. So, to clarify, this now has 6mm of on the fly adjustment deployed. This is its absolute maximum extension. There are enough removable links on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side of the integrated bracelet to fit down to a 6-inch wrist size up to a maximum 7.5-inch wrist size. It does fit my 8-inch wrist, but it's tight. I can't fit an index finger beneath the bracelet and clasp at all times, which is the correct sizing method, because this allows for wrist expansion in warmer weather or when one is active. 8 inches is tight, so of course, you could ask Fairer to include additional links to fit up to an 8-inch plus wrist size. That's not a concern, but I'm not going to be critical of it. So why is that? Well, this is obviously made to fit the majority of collectors with a 6 to 7.5-inch wrist size, which is fair enough. With a 6mm on the fly adjustment, plenty of on the fly adjustment, and this is what other butterfly clasps, and I'll use my Concord 40 for reference. I'm often critical of brands not having a half link. Pequenet, credit where credit's due, this bracelet does have a half link. As you can see, I've added a half link on the 12 o'clock side because one full link didn't give the desired fit. So Pequenet do it, they include half links, but nonetheless, we do not have on the fly adjustment. So for example, when my wrist swells up in warmer weather, when one is active, problem is one cannot get on the fly adjustment with a butterfly clasp. That's the negative. This is €4,000 and it does not have a micro adjustment clasp with on the fly adjustment. But this does. This is better. It's €1,695. It's not 4,000, but it has a better micro adjustment clasp. That's the truth of it. Fair deserve credit because the engineering is high tier level and actually works very well. It's intuitive. You don't need to read the owner's instructions. You can simply figure out how to use it intuitively by pressing it with your thumb. And it closes back up with a nice positive click. This is fantastic. And what I like about it is, as I've detailed, is the aggressive taper. 24mm at the head of the piece, aggressive taper down to 16. The benefit is this bracelet is nice and slender at the butterfly clasp bend. It's not too thick, it's not too bulky, the links are not too thick, they flow around the wrist fluidly, and the articulation is fantastic. Just look at the luster. Absolutely gorgeous brushed satin finishing, it's Rolex level. Mirror polishing to the centre links adds interest, and it's just gorgeous. The luster catches the light. This is just fantastic. What I like about this piece above all else is it's not an homage to an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, and it's not an homage to the Patek Philippe Nautilus, for example. Micro brands that come up with original designs like this deserve credit. Fairer deserve credit for a completely original design. Every aspect of this piece, the dial, the case, the bezel, the integrated bracelet, the micro adjustment clasp is original. It's not an homage to an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. It's not an homage to a Patek Philippe Nautilus or any other integrated bracelet piece. This is original. And I really like that. So it's got that hexagonal bezel versus being an octagonal bezel as per Royal Oak. It doesn't have a curved case shape as per Nautilus. This is completely original. Even the bracelet links, the profiling is original. And the aggressive taper, the micro adjustment clasp, completely unique and original to Fairer. That's what I really like about Fairer. They're coming up with original designs, not homages to other existing designs. Now, tonneau case is fantastic. The wrist presence is good for a 38.5mm. Wrist presence is satisfying for a 6 to 7-inch wrist. Wrist presence is satisfying for a 7 to 8-inch wrist respectively. 38.5 is the sweet spot for all wrist sizes. What I like about it is it's got a compact lug to lug of only 42. This is particularly beneficial for collectors with a smaller 6 to 7 inch wrist size. Often integrated bracelet pieces, you will all be familiar with the problem. The lug to lug is far too long. For regular pieces with regular bracelets and straps, I often refer to 48mm as the sweet spot, because 48 is the industry standard for good reason. It fits all wrist sizes, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, to perfection. But, however, with an integrated piece like this, with an integrated strap or integrated bracelet, it's actually beneficial to have a shorter lug to lug of 42 versus the sweet spot 48. It's 6mm below, because often integrated bracelets, they don't have female pitted end links which pivot, as per an oyster bracelet or as per a Jubilee bracelet, for example. The problem with that is the integrated end links can't pivot close to the wrist, so one always gets this abhorrent gap beneath the tip of the integrated lugs and also the end link in the integrated bracelet. This does not have that problem. There's minimal gap, as you can see, between the tips of the tonneau case and also the integrated end link, very close to the wrist. This has a nice snug fit. So I really like it. It's compact, but it's not too short, even for my large 8-inch wrist. And for a 6 to 7-inch wrist, this will fit you to perfection. If you have a 7 to 8-inch wrist, this will fit you to perfection. Two things I like about it, to reiterate. Above all else, lack of thickness. This is fantastic. It's one of the thinnest integrated pieces I have reviewed. I've reviewed a plethora of integrated bracelet pieces on my channel in the last 5 years. This is one of the thinnest, if not the thinnest, at 10.7mm. One has to appreciate, this is the kind of thickness one would expect with a quartz-powered or mechanical manual wind piece without a rotor. This has a double dome sapphire crystal, not a flat sapphire crystal, has an exhibition caseback, not a flat, solid stainless steel caseback, but it's still only 10.7. This is incredible. Fair reserve credit, because it's something that so many mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands cannot attain. An automatic piece with 56 hours of power reserve, that is only 10.7. With a double dome sapphire crystal, with an exhibition caseback, and with 100 meters. This is incredible. 10.7. If this were quartz powered, I would say that's nothing special. It would not impress me. If this were mechanical manual wind powered, I would say nothing special. It would not impress me. But with an automatic with 56 hours, this does impress. It's absolutely incredible. 10.7mm. This enhances comfort level. This enhances feel good factor. You can now see the benefit of that flat case back. This fits very snug to the wrist, and the low profile flanks reduce the visual impact. But the other benefit is it looks very aesthetically pleasing. This looks like a great piece from every angle. The feel good factor and the comfort level of this piece is stellar. Make no mistake about it. This doesn't look or feel like wearing a low tier or mid tier piece. This looks and feels like wearing a high tier piece at 10,000 plus euro. So that's the feeling one's getting. That's only 1,695 euro. It's just incredible. So above all else, 10.7. The other thing I like about it is the lack of heft. 136 grams. I would expect this to be well in excess of 150 to 160 grams, because it is an integrated piece. So we do have an integrated bracelet. But this is the benefit of the aggressive taper. Rather than having a 22 to 18 or, for example, 20 to 16 taper, this has an aggressive 24 to 16 taper. Now, the good thing about it is it's flared and wider where it needs to be at the lugs, because this flows nicely into the tonneau case. But then the taper is very aggressive down to the butterfly clasp. It's 16. And the benefit is this deletes a lot of the meat from the bracelet. So rather than being a bulky bracelet which looks too straight and parallel, this has a nice aggressive taper. And of course, when one gets down to the butterfly clasp, it's nice and slender. Visually it looks good, but also feels good because it deletes a lot of the meat from the bracelet. It doesn't feel too bulky, doesn't feel too thick. And this is not a standard butterfly clasp. It has an internal mechanism for the micro adjustment, but it's still very low profile. Look at the curvature of it. It doesn't stick out too proud from the wrist. Even on a smaller 6 to 7 inch wrist, you're not going to find this to be too long, too bulky, with too much overhang. And of course 16mm is beneficial because it looks slender. This is fantastic engineering, fantastic aesthetics. I like everything about it. Luster is good, finishing is good, no sharp edges to the bevels, doesn't pull arm hairs. It's perfection. So bracelet on this piece is stellar, beautiful luster, comfort level, feel good factor are optimized. So very low profile at 10.7, 136 grams is well below the 150 gram sweet spot. Now, you'll know from my previous reviews, 13mm and below is the sweet spot for a piece to easily slip underneath shirt cuffs if you wear business shirts. Needless to say, at only 10.7 it is well below the 13 sweet spot. This will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff, therefore it's a practical daily wear piece and also a practical dress piece. I like the versatility of it because you can wear it on the rubber strap, alternatively wear it on the bracelet. And you can see this could be worn as a daily wear piece. It could also be worn as a dress piece because it is shiny and reflective with the mirror polishing to the centre links and the beautiful lustre, but it's not too shiny and glossy. And I really like the contrasting dial execution because the centre is sunray and then the outer portion of it is matte textured finish with horizontal grooves engraved into it. Fantastic. It's just incredible. The legibility is good. The double dome sapphire crystal looks fantastic. Everything about it is satisfying. Refinement is there. So very satisfying piece. I like everything about it. In terms of comfort level and feel good factor, it has the wrist presence, but it doesn't feel top heavy. That's the point I'm making. So they've got a very well balanced piece and they deserve credit because it's something that so many mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands cannot get correct. Integrated bracelet piece often have too much heft, they're too thick, they're like a thick slab of 316L grade stainless steel. Bracelet has too much meat, they're too heavy, too bulky, clasp is too bulky. This gets everything correct. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. So this uses X2 Superluminova. That's an alternative to the industry standards you're all familiar with, BGW9 and C3. So X2 has a lighter green tone to it than C3, more like C1. Right, so that's now fully charged and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is stellar performance. We're clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers on the applied Arabic numerals, the applied baton indices and the baton hands. Potency of the exciter is excellent. Good colour tone match in daylight. The Arabic numerals and the baton indices and the hands all have pure white lume. They don't look more cream or white. In the dark, they have a perfect green colour tone match. What I like about it is we've got an even application. So the Arabic numerals, which are large fonts, they're clearly legible. They clearly have an even application of 5 to 6 layers. The baton indices for the other hour marks also have 5 to 6 layers evenly applied. And the baton hands are different lengths. One can immediately differentiate between the shorter baton hour hand and the longer baton hour hand. Legibility is stellar. So what I like is the colour tone match. The lighter green tone of X2 is very satisfying, and of course the X2 adds potency to it. It's got more brightness than C1 or C3 respectively. So as you can see, green tone is lighter green than C3, very aesthetically pleasing, and as you can see, good colour tone match. Potency is good, longevity is good, even application. 5 to 6 on the dial, 5 to 6 on the handset. They haven't cut any production costs with regards to application. For example, they haven't applied 3 to 4 layers on the dial and 5 to 6 on the hands. We're looking at 5 to 6 on the hands, 5 to 6 on the dial respectively. Symmetry of the dial is good. What I like is the symmetry of it because strictly speaking it's asymmetrical because it does have a date complication at 3. But as I've detailed, I'm referring to the symmetry of the Arabic numerals. I like the way the 12 and 6 balance each other, and I like the way the 10 and 2 balance and the 8 and 4 balance. The symmetry of the Arabic numerals is good, and also the symmetry of the baton indices is good. And they have managed to fit in a small index on the right-hand side of the date complication, which is good. So excellent. One can easily read the time in the dark. Stellar performance. Right, so let's discuss the movement use because it's my favourite aspect of the piece. So, to reiterate, the Sellita Caliber SW300-1 is a clone of the ETA 2892-A2. Prior to 2010, the SW300-1 had 42 hours of power reserve. From 2020 onwards, the power reserve was upgraded by Sellita from 42 hours to 56. This uses the updated version. This has 56 hours, which of course is beneficial if you wear the piece in rotation as part of a collection, because you only need to manually wind it every 2 to 3 days. So, 25 joules, runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, which use for complications, and as I've demonstrated, work correctly. Quick set date complication, which also works correctly. 56 hours is a notable upgrade from the 42, as I've detailed. Now, to clarify, there are 4 grades of SW300-1. standard grade, elaborate grade, top grade and chronometer grade respectively. This is the top grade, so it's decorated with pelage finishing and it is regulated in 5 positions. It's regulated in 5 positions to plus or minus 4 to plus or minus 15 seconds per day. I want to give due credit to Fairer here because they could have taken the less expensive option of using the standard or elaborate grade of 300-1, but they didn't. They took the more expensive option of using a top grade, the very best of Sellita. They're regulating the calibers in 5 positions. Now, although Sellita states the regulation in 5 positions as plus or minus 4 to plus or minus 15 seconds per day, this one is running consistently at plus 2 seconds per day. Plus 2 is actually within chronometer grade limits of minus 4 to plus 6. So the accuracy of this SW300-1 top grade is stellar. It's within chronometer limits. What I like about the SW300-1 above all else is it's 1mm thinner than the SW200-1. And again, I want to give due credit to Fairer here. I'll repeat it. They could have taken the less expensive option of using an SW200-1. Standard grade, elaborate grade, top grade or chronometer grade, but they didn't. They chose the more expensive option. The SW300-1 is a level above the SW200-1 in build quality, quality control, materials, finishing and accuracy. It's a higher grade movement. Not only that, they didn't just go for the standard or elaborate grade, they went for the top grade. So it's a better movement than the SW200-1, and not only that, it's not just the standard or elaborate grade version, it's the top grade. It's fantastic to see a top grade SW300-1 used for a mid-tier piece which is Swiss made at only €1,695. This adds significant value to the piece. Plus 2 seconds per day, 56 hours. Are there any negatives to it? None whatsoever. It's one of my personal favourite Sellita calibers. It's the very best of Sellita. It's a clone of the ETA 2892-A2, which of course is another one of my personal favourites. It's a reliable, well-proven calibre. And because it has the same architecture, it's a clone of it. Therefore, its design, its architecture is proven beyond question. The SW300-1 is an incredibly reliable and robust calibre. The accuracy is excellent, the build quality is excellent, the finishing is excellent. Everything about it is a level above the SW200-1. Hand winding works well, hacking works well, date complication works well, quick set, setting the time feels pleasant. It's just a stellar movement. And it's suitable for pieces that are at the €2,000 to €3,000 price points. But this is not €2,000 to €3,000, it's only €1,695. So it's excellent to see Fairer have selected it, and it's excellent to see they didn't just use the standard or elaborate grade, they've used the top grade. So, last I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. Mid-tier piece. Mid-tier is €500 to €5,000. To clarify, this is not mid-tier level. The build quality, quality control, materials and finishing of this piece are high-tier level, €10,000+ level. To remind you, finishing to the bezel, the case, the bracelet, the clasp, the case back is Rolex level, €10,000+ level. Stellar. The movement alone fully justifies the price point of this piece. To see a top grade SW300-1 used at this price point is unprecedented. Fairer deserve credit for that. Not only that, to remind you, this piece is covered by 5 years of international warranty. That is Rolex high tier level warranty cover. It's not provided by 2 years of warranty, which is the industry standard for mid-tier pieces between 500 and 5,000. So 5 years of warranty adds value to the piece. The top grade SW300-1 adds value to the piece. The micro adjustment clasp adds value. To remind you, my Concorde 40 is French made with an in-house French made caliber, and on this obelisk link bracelet it does not have a micro adjustment clasp, and it's €4,000. This has a micro adjustment clasp and it's only €1,695. That's what I'm talking about. All of these things add value to the piece. So 5 years of warranty, top grade SW300-1, micro adjustment clasp, value after value after value. Yes, this is unquestionably excellent quality, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent value. I think at €1,695, Fairer have undervalued this piece. If this were €2,000 or if it were €3,000, I would still say it is excellent quality and excellent value. At €1,095, the value proposition of this piece is incredible. It's stellar. This is a fantastic piece. Not only that, they also include the FKM strap and the bracelet included. You don't have to pay extra for it, unlike other micro brands. The other thing about it is they offer complimentary engraving up to 25 characters. You can have this personally engraved, no extra cost. They're adding value every possible way. 5 years of warranty versus 2 years, top grade versus standard or elabor grade, micro adjustment clasp, and you can have it engraved to personalise it. This is just an incredible value proposition. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Fairer Tenebris Integra. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.